So as stated previously, the law of demand and supply is the backbone of modern economics and is the absolute cornerstone of the market economies that we know nowadays. And for a manager, it's crucial to have a decent understanding of what demand and supply is and how this might also affect your own business. So demand and supply are absolute core concepts in economics and in business. So the demand of a particular product could be dependent on the price. In other words, the higher the price, the less likely that consumers will buy that particular product. It might also depend on consumer income levels. For instance, if consumer income levels keep up with the pace of inflation, but also crucially of consumer preferences. And this is a key thing to consider in business because consumer preferences might change considerably even in short periods of time, especially in today's world where marketing is rife all around us, and especially with online marketing that might in a very short time frame change general consumer preferences. Supply is dependent on the cost of production. So for instance, if the cost of production rises, then a business will have a lower supply of that particular product. It could also be dependent on technological innovations. For instance, these innovations might make the production of that particular product more cheap, thereby increasing the supply. And it also depends on the price of the good. The market equilibrium is where consumer demand equals consumer supply. And this is a key thing to note here. This is basically the intersection of demand and supply. And this is where demand and supply meet, and it forms a stable price that we can see on the left, as well as a stable quantity. So for instance, in the case of an iPhone, for instance, let's say that 10 million people will purchase this particular iPhone at $1,000. That would then be the equilibrium of the current iPhone. A bit more complicated, but a crucial thing to note here is the concept of price elasticity. And price elasticity is basically a variable that shows how much the demand for a particular good, a service, or a product changes as a result of changes in price. This provides insights into how changes in the price of a product could affect sales volume and revenue for your business. So there are products with elastic demand in which a small change in price results in a large change in the quantity demanded. And on the other hand, a product that has inelastic demand, this implies that the quantity that is demanded by consumers does not respond that much to price changes. So let's illustrate this. So let's take the example of bread, for instance. So pretty much everybody around the world consumes bread. Of course, there are some people and some cultures and countries that eat more bread than another, but generally speaking, bread is a very popular product around the world, as it is also one of the staple components of a modern diet. Bread is a typical example of an inelastic product because even relatively high changes in the price of a bread wouldn't affect the quantity demanded that much. So for instance, if the price of a bread increases by 35%, so roughly 1/3, this wouldn't lead to a very significant decrease in the quantity demanded because people will still eat bread and people will still need bread to feed themselves and because it is such an integral part of their diet. On the other hand, champagne is an absolute luxury product. Champagne is an example of a highly elastic product. So in this particular example, consider a price increase of champagne of 35%. This would lead to a very sharp drop in sales for champagne because it is not a staple product. It is not something that is consumed on a regular basis by many people. Within a business setting, the concept of price elasticity will help you to set prices in an optimal manner. And it also helps you consider what the potential consequences are. For instance, if the materials that you use for a particular product have become much more expensive, which will lead to an increase in the price of your product. This will help you set optimal pricing levels, but it will also help you set the strategies for the future, because it gives you an idea of the changes in quantity that you might realistically expect over a given time period.